Karen Armstrong, Islam, A Short History, Modern Library Chronicles. In Islam, A Short History, Karen Armstrong traces the complex history of the Islamic faith, exploring its unique blend of spiritual and political aspects. This summary delves into the origins of the religion, the life of its prophet Muhammad, the rise and fall of empires, and the tensions between Western influences and Islamic values. Amid these complex historical developments, we will explore the diverse interpretations of this faith and the interrelationship between politics and religion, in the context of Islam. Get ready to unravel the rich tapestry of a faith that has left lasting impacts on societies across the globe.
The dual nature of religion. Religion is a complex concept that combines spirituality and external history. While believers search for transcendence, they are also forced to confront the realities of power politics. However, all religions strive for survival and expansion while regarding it as a necessary evil that corrupts their sacred ideals. The Enlightenment philosophers argued for the separation of church and state to protect religion from political rivalries but did not want to banish it from public life. Each religion is a product of its time, and people turn towards faith when they feel that their present is unjust. The author terms this as earthing, which means that real objects can become gateways to the ultimate truth, leading to the encounter of the divine. While Christianity and Hinduism consider historical events as meaningless compared to the eternal truths of faith, Islam is a uniquely political faith, seeking to create a just society in the present, with political action viewed as a sacrament imparting spiritual grace. The birth of Islam. Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, received his first revelation in 610 during his annual retreat. He belonged to the Quraysh tribe, which had displaced older values, causing religious restlessness among the Arabs. Muhammad presented his recitations in 612, emphasizing the egalitarian ethos and focus on justice. Early Muslims adopted rituals such as zakat and salat. While Islam won a small following, the ruling class in Mecca wasn't happy about its growth. The rise of Islam in Mecca. Muhammad's preaching initially did not gain much attention from the ruling class of Mecca, who saw it as an unimportant sect led by a fraudulent prophet. However, this changed when two key issues arose: Islam's opposition to cutthroat capitalism and the suspicion that Muhammad sought a political position. These issues had both theological and political dimensions, and the Meccan elite, who largely practiced paganism, saw themselves condemned for their greed and failure to take care of the poor. Abu al-Hakam, a member of the Quraysh, was the figurehead of opposition to Islam and initiated a boycott against converts, leading to the financial ruin of Muslim traders and food shortages that contributed to the death of Muhammad's wife. The situation for Muslims worsened when Muhammad's uncle and protector, Abu Talib, died. However, a delegation of chiefs from nearby Yathrib proposed a pact with Muhammad, which changed the history of Islam forever. The rise of Islam. The book follows the history of Islam from its beginning as a small community of believers in Yathrib to a dominant religion in the Arabian Peninsula. The Yathrib leaders reached out to Muhammad to settle their conflicts, leading to the migration of Mecca's Muslims and the establishment of the Islamic community based on ideology instead of kinship. Although the multi-religious community was held together by its members' promise to respect a drafted constitution, the Muslims were at its core, and Medina became known as the city, representing the ideal of a truly Islamic society. As Medina grew, conflicts arose between Muslims and their enemies in Mecca, leading to battles such as the Battle of Uhud and the Battle of Trench. However, the Muslims' victories impressed Arabia's nomadic Bedouin tribes, leading to their conversion to Islam and swelling the ranks of the Muslims' army. By 630, Muhammad marched on Mecca, and virtually all of Arabia's tribes converted to Islam, bringing an end to centuries of violence. The story of the Rashidun Caliphs. The Rashidun Caliphs, the rightly guided rulers, had to grapple with the puzzling issue of their authority as regular humans after the death of Islam's prophet Muhammad, who had been divinely inspired. Bakr, the first caliph, faced a rebellion that he quashed, but his successors, Umar and Uthman, wanted a more lasting solution. They answered the question by implementing a policy of raiding non-Muslims outside of Arabia, which was successful. Although Islam is often perceived as a religion of the sword, the empire's growth was accidental and pragmatic in nature. Conversion was discouraged, and Muslims lived in separate garrison towns. Jews and Christians, viewed as people of the book who believed in the same God as Muslims, were protected and able to practice their own faith by paying a special poll tax. This policy also allowed non-Muslims to hold top positions in the empire. Many Christians even preferred their Muslim rulers to their old Byzantine masters, and this policy proved beneficial to the empire. Islamic politics. The struggle to reconcile Islamic values with centralized rule and absolute monarchy during the Umayyad and Abbasid caliphates is explored in this book summary. Despite efforts to put Islam first, practical economic matters often stood in the way. As a result, many Muslims began to pay closer attention to the Sharia, leading to the emergence of a new class of religious experts and a counterculture movement against current injustices. The rise of Islamic scholarship. In the 10th century, the Islamic world fragmented into separate regions governed by local rulers. Nonetheless, this decentralization birthed a long period of intellectual prosperity that transformed Islamic scholarship. The new dynasties focused on military matters and court life, leaving religious instruction to independent ulama who established schools called madrasas. This was also the age of polymaths, among them Ibn Sina, who translated texts by Aristotle, wrote on medicine and philosophy and contributed to the prosperity of Samanid Bukhara, a city in contemporary Uzbekistan, which became synonymous with scholarship. Elsewhere, the Fatimids founded a Middle Eastern and North African Cairo-based empire that supported scholarship, theology, and philosophy, producing thinkers like Al-Ghazali, who espoused a less ritualistic, more spiritual Islam. The resulting ideas spread throughout the Islamic world, forging a sense of Islamic community that didn't rely on state support, uniting all Muslims under the Dar al-Islam, the House of Islam, wherever they lived. The power shift. In the medieval period, Islamic countries were advanced with its art, science, and language of learning. Yet, Europe started to catch up with the Islamic world in the 13th century and went on to dominate the world in the 18th century. The reason behind this was due to revolutionary social transformation fueled by technological development and capital investment. This transformation led to an extraordinary age of innovation, with progress being the watchword and capitalism being the new economic system. The revolution not only transformed Europe but the whole world through colonialism, where virtually every Muslim country came under foreign control between the 18th and 19th centuries. Islamic Modernity. The colonization of Islamic countries was a traumatic experience. European countries disrupted established customs and hierarchies, which resulted in Muslims struggling with their beliefs and identity. Many believed that imitating the West was the answer to their problems. However, attempts to create an Islamic modernity that imitated the West were not successful. This is because the Western state is not only secular but also democratic and national, which is incompatible with Islamic ideology. Muslims believe that only God can legitimize government and consider themselves members of a broader Islamic community rather than individual nations. The pursuit of Islamic modernity has been a long and arduous journey requiring Muslims to develop their unique culture and draw upon Islamic traditions. Fundamentalism, a global phenomenon. Fundamentalism isn't exclusive to Islam, it exists in every major religion. At its core, fundamentalism is a reaction to modernity and aggressive secularism, which fundamentalists perceive as a threat to their values. Although fond of traditional gender roles, fundamentalists aren't always as conservative as they seem. Sayyid Qutb, the notorious Islamic fundamentalist, reinterpreted an Islamic concept, leading to a theological innovation that his followers took to an un-Islamic extreme. The Taliban, inspired by Qutb, disregarded Quranic values and oppressed ethnic minorities, contradicting the Prophet's message of peace and compassion. The irony is that the fundamentalists' quest to return to the past undermines their faith's original message.
As we conclude our exploration of Karen Armstrong's Islam, A Short History, it becomes clear that Islam's political and religious dimensions are inextricably intertwined. From its inception as a faith driven by social justice and unity, to its impact on politics and global relations, Islam has continually evolved and adapted to its historical context. With contemporary struggles like fundamentalism, modernization, and clashes with Western ideologies, Muslims grapple with the complexities of their faith, attempting to strike a balance between tradition and progress. By understanding Islam's complex narrative, we can appreciate the challenges and opportunities that come with preserving the core teachings of the faith, while moving forward in a rapidly changing world.